Hello dear crypto friends, and welcome to this brutal video in these dark times in the crypto market. Everything is crashing down. How could this happen? Why is it happening? What have we done? Why are the crypto gods abandoning us? Let us try to understand what is happening, especially with a focus this time on XRP. Let's try to understand the logic of this market. So here we have the XRP long-term chart with the logarithmic y-axis, okay? And we can see that we have a break of this long-term triangle, right? I was drawing this triangle here and now it's breaking to the downside, and oh God, no, it's game over, right? It's game over. Everything is going to zero. We are dying. That's it, right, guys? Let's leave the sinking ship. And if we look back in XRP, we can see that actually such stuff is absolutely not new. If we go back, right? If we go back, for example, to January 2017, we can see that this nice triangle that has been printed for 4 years has been broken to the downside, and not a little. I mean, it hasn't been broken a little, it has been broken brutally in this wick candle, which went down quite a lot below this triangle. Other examples are plentiful, especially in Bitcoin. We can see plenty of times such behaviors, especially a famous one, of course, in 2013, right? In 2013, I can still remember it, the famous Silk Road crash, where we had this brutal shakeout, came out of nowhere in the first week of October 2013, bam, brutal dump, and then we went to the upside, right? Just out of nowhere. And if we look at Bitcoin's behavior, it did this also here, right? I mean, we could say that this whole thing here, this whole thing was a giant triangle. Bitcoin was actually printing a super long-term triangle. If we go into the weekly chart, let me just deactivate the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curve. I mean, look at this. If this isn't a perfect triangle, then I don't know what is. So you print this triangle here, you say, oh nice, Bitcoin will be doing a super awesome triangle. Look here how this looked, right? You get this perfect triangle here, and then you think, sure, I mean, yeah, right, it will go to the upside. That is clear, right? That is clear, it will break to the upside here at some point. But no, what happened? It actually broke to the downside, and not a little. I mean, this really broke to the downside during the COVID crash by quite a lot. And then what happened? It bounces back up. It bounces right from the MA200 and MA290 long week moving averages, bounces back up and goes directly into a rally. Like, how the hell is this possible, right? So you see long-term triangles that are broke. Sorry guys, I ate too much before recording. That is never a good idea. So you see triangles are triangles, and long-term trend lines, they, in my opinion, are of no use in crypto land. Long-term trend lines are of no use because you can draw, for example, this long-term trend line, and then it was broken, right? And then, okay, then you say, oh, we have this new trend line here, awesome trend line, and this was also broken. Or you go further back in Bitcoin, we had this trend line here, which was very nice until it was also brutally broken. So that doesn't mean a lot, right? Trend lines in crypto don't mean much. So now, as for XRP, what does this mean now? If we look at XRP, let me deactivate the moving averages. What does this mean now that this triangle has been broken? Well, friends, in my opinion, okay, and this is as always my opinion, there was always the probability that this would break to the downside. In all my videos, I said XRP has huge potential to pump, but only under two conditions. First, a favorable outcome with this whole SEC stuff. And second, that Bitcoin will not dump to below 40K or 45K. But this has happened now. Why? Because the dollar index is pumping like crazy. The dollar index just won't stop pumping. So now, because Bitcoin has fallen to quite low values, this has dragged down the whole altcoin market with it. And of course, consequently also XRP. But if we look at this XRP chart here now, right? We see that this looks strangely familiar. Where have we seen this? Okay, Where have we seen this XRP behavior? And I personally think that XRP is just repeating what Bitcoin did in 2018 and 2019. That is quite fascinating to think about it. But let me just load the 3-day chart for Bitcoin. Let me load the 3-day chart. Does this thing here look kind of familiar? Does this crazy thing here look on the left kind of familiar to what XRP is doing right now? Right? XRP had this huge run. BTC had this huge run. XRP has this like super insane bear market. BTC had this super insane bear market. XRP rallies to not quite the all-time high. BTC does the same. And now XRP is crashing down. And what did BTC do in early 2020? It did the exact same thing right here. It did the exact same thing and it went down almost as low as this value. So this would mean if XRP was to repeat this, we would go to values of around 15 cents. If this dump continues, we could go to values as low as 15 cents. And if this would continue like this, XRP would bounce back. And then at some point, as from the looks of it, if we take the length of this whole structure here, from the look of it, it would pump at some point in 2023 to new all-time highs, right? Because XRP is basically doing what Bitcoin did, but on a longer time frame. This is how crazy actually altcoins have become. Suddenly, we have altcoins actually being slower than Bitcoin. Just think about this. This was impossible only a few years ago. The market has completely changed its conditions. Altcoins that are repeating what Bitcoin did, but slower. This is crazy. This would have been, for me, impossible. If you would have told this to me 5 years ago, I would have said impossible because altcoins were always faster in their movements than Bitcoin. Bitcoin was big and slow and sluggish, and altcoins were always faster. Now we have this situation where XRP seems to be repeating what Bitcoin did in 2020 and 2019, but on a slower time frame. This is absolutely crazy, friends. This is absolutely bizarre. And yeah, this is like what's happening now. So we could go down as low as 15 cents or 18 cents or in that area above the low from March 2020 where XRP hit around 11 cents. So this could be a repeat. If we take the Fibonacci extensions and try to verify this, we see that Bitcoin hit the 0.618 extension, right? The whole move here from 20,000 down to 3,100. Bitcoin came back and hit the 0.618 extension. And what is XRP doing, or what was XRP doing? Oh wow, look at this. It almost hit the 0.618. Actually, it always depends how you draw the lines, right? Do you take the weekly candle closes? If we take the weekly candle close, it went above the 0.618 and almost hit the 0.702 Fibonacci level. So this is very, very similar, very comparable to what Bitcoin actually did back then. And so this whole structure here looks extremely familiar. And so if this would just continue to do what Bitcoin did, right? I mean, this looks very, 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 very similar. This would mean that the dump is not over yet, that we go lower and then we see a recovery. And then in 2023, XRP goes to new all-time highs. This is what this would mean. But there are also some other possibilities because this can of course only happen if Bitcoin continues to dump now. Now, if we look at the volume, we see that the volume is already picking up. We have Wednesday now and the volume bar is already the highest it has been in the last months since August 2021. And the week is not even half over. So this volume bar here, it could actually go quite high, right? And volume is always a good indicator for a reversal. So the volume here looks pretty good. So if of course Bitcoin bounces now, then XRP would consequently also bounce, right? XRP would not continue dropping if Bitcoin would bounce, because XRP is normally following Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin bounces now and we go to in the 50,000 area, 55, 58,000, and then we go down again, This would of course mean that XRP has not yet seen the final low, and that this here I would then identify with this area, right? I would then identify, let me just remove this, I would then identify this thing here with this button, and then we get this bounce and then the low. So consequently XRP would bounce, it would go to probably somewhere in that area here. I mean, it was given by the resistance here, so I could imagine it going to 110, 115, 120, and then everyone is bullish again, and then it makes a brutal dump and then bounce and then rally at some point in 2023, right? So this will depend, of course, now on what Bitcoin will be doing. Will we see a Bitcoin bounce, or will Bitcoin go lower? And of course, I said in the last video, if you see my last video, I just want to repeat very quickly. We absolutely have the potential, if we look at the long-term Bitcoin chart and the long-term moving averages, we absolutely have the potential to revisit the MA200 at 21,700 and the MA290, the weekly moving averages of 200 or 290 weeks at 16,700. So we absolutely could revisit these low values, right? We could continue dropping and then we could continue a rally, or we could just bounce sideways, depending of course on what the dollar index will be doing. Because let us remember here that all coins are linked to what Bitcoin is doing, and Bitcoin is again now linked to what the dollar index is doing. And if I just load the dollar index, right? If I load the dollar index, it looks as if, I mean, it's still holding at resistance. Let me just go into the monthly here. Yeah, it looks as if it's still struggling to get through this resistance here. It has still not managed to get through the resistance. So if the dollar index of course would now start brutally dumping, then of course this changes the whole game, right? If the dollar index would start dumping right now, then this could still happen. We could still be super lucky, and this could have been it, you know? We could just continue to rally from here. I think this is an unlikely scenario. I said it already in the last video, because this structure would be super weird. I think if we get a rally continuation, then we could see this whole thing here as an expanded flat correction. And this would mean that we would get, like, this thing here is an expanded flat. So this was a wave 1 in the Elliott wave count, and then we have an A, B, C type of correction. And then we would get the wave 3 of this whole cycle in the next move, right? And then we would have a wave 4 and a wave 5, something like that. So this would be the Elliott wave count. You know, I'm not a big fan of Elliott waves, but since everyone loves them, I will include them, of course, also. So this could be the case if we now continue dropping directly to the MA200. But of course, if Bitcoin now decides to already bounce from that level, if we say, yeah, that sure, look here, that was the low, that was like the low, and now we continue going up from here, right? If we continue going up from here because suddenly the dollar index starts dumping, then of course, if we go back to XRP, it is pretty clear that XRP would just follow, right? It cannot happen then that XRP continues to 15 cents while BTC is pumping like crazy. This would be super bizarre. So in this case, of course, if BTC continues pumping now, this could have been the shakeout already. And then I see XRP going to new all-time highs in 2023. Depending, of course, when Bitcoin reaches the top, right? When does Bitcoin reach the top of this rally, if it will continue to rally? But of course, we said in the last video that there's also the possibility, I mean, not only that we get a bounce or that we get a rally continuation, but there's the real possibility that Bitcoin goes down to the MA290, the 290 weekly moving average, right? Let me just delete the volume here. And that we just wobble around, and then it's ugly and we have bear market type of situation, and then at some point in 2023 or 2024 we continue pumping. So if that happens, of course, then XRP will also do something similar, and that would of course mean that XRP would revisit the lows, maybe even make a new low, so that this whole thing would be an A, B, C type of correction. and then XRP goes to new highs after 2024. This would be, of course, quite ugly. That is clear. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that scenario, but we cannot entirely rule it out, right? We cannot entirely rule it out. I just want to put it out there because it certainly is possible. So XRP is highly depending, of course, on what Bitcoin is doing. So we have to see how Bitcoin will behave. I personally think that we will go directly to new lows here. I don't think that this will, I mean, I would be really surprised if now this 30,000 area will hold, 29,000, 30,000. So my best hope is that we go directly to the MA 200 and that this whole thing was just an expanded flat, A, B, C, right? Kind of like that. This whole thing, an expanded flat, and that we just continue to rally. And then this thing here would be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5 of this whole move. And this would have been like a super long super cycle of Bitcoin, which was then from 2020 until 2023, right? Because we said maybe the cycles are getting longer. That is one of the theories there, that Bitcoin cycles are lengthening. So XRP will depend on what Bitcoin is doing. If we go into the XRP BTC chart, let me load XRP BTC. We can see that XRP BTC has been in this long super wedge. I called it like a mega wedge, which went back until 2018. So it's been doing this wedge for 4 years now. Now it seems that it's breaking to the downside, but of course only because Bitcoin is dumping like crazy. So if this wedge breaks to the downside, is it game over? No, of course not, because look here, it went down and went right up again into the wedge. Also, we should note, if we go back in time, that XRP actually did quite a few more wedges back in the day, right? We can see actually many wedges that XRP has broken to the downside. That was some kind of wedge which has been broken to the downside, and then XRP was pumping. Then we have another wedge here, very long-term one, which XRP was again breaking to the downside. Here, if you see, it broke out to the downside and then pumped. And you could even argue that this wedge here, the very first one that XRP ever did, was also some kind of a falling wedge, which then broke and then suddenly went again to the upside, right? So XRP likes breaking to the downside, breaking to the downside, breaking to the downside, and then pumping afterwards. We can ignore this wick here, by the way. This is a mistake. I am absolutely 100% sure that it didn't dip below this price area. So this is just a mistake, I think, because this here is calculated by Binance. So I think the wick should end at this area here. But still, the wedge also broke to the downside. So it could, of course, be now, if we have a bit of imagination, that this thing here will break to the downside. I don't know how low, of course, it would go. And then we could directly go into a rally if, of course, Bitcoin is now having an expanded flat and going directly into a rally. If it goes directly into a rally, we could see such a situation that we break down this whole wedge and then afterwards go directly into a rally. This is not absolutely excluded, okay? If we go back into the XRP USD chart, what could make us bullish, okay, what could make us bullish with XRP USD is the fact that if we look at the RSI, the weekly RSI of XRP is the lowest it has ever been now. It is now at 32.34. At the low in March 2020, it was at 32.74. And at this low here in November 2015, it was at 32.88. So the RSI, the weekly RSI of XRP, is the lowest it ever was in recorded history. And because these last times actually at 32 point something marked a bottom structure, I think that it is quite indicative. I think we might see a bounce, but of course, if Bitcoin goes even lower, XRP will follow. If Bitcoin now drops to 22,000, XRP will of course follow. We go down to 20 cents, 15 cents, 18 cents, somewhere in that area, not lower than this low. Then we go back up, then we go back up, we go sideways for a while, and then we go into the next pump. We go into the next rally. That is the picture I currently have for XRP. I think this is not unrealistic, especially if we again remember how Bitcoin behaved back in 2018, 2019, and when it also crashed down and then immediately went into a rally, right? We could see a similar situation with XRP, where XRP is now also breaking down, rebounding, and then immediately going into a rally in early 2023 or late 2022. We could think of such a scenario. It would be a quite nice fractal similarity to what Bitcoin did in 2018, 2019, 2020. This is my current picture, friends. So no one knows what XRP will do. Why not? Because this is highly dependent on what Bitcoin is doing. We see the whole market is following Bitcoin now. Everything is imploding because Bitcoin is dumping. And this, of course, again, highly depends on the dollar index, right, friends? The dollar index, I can just repeat myself all the time. The dollar index is what will make and break Bitcoin. And currently, I am not sure if the dollar index will go through this resistance here. I am not sure because we are still technically having a bearish divergence within the RSI. So I'm not sure if the dollar will go through, but if it will go through, then probably it will pump for quite a few more weeks until 110, 112, something like that. And then we might see for the first time a larger correction. And this could be the time when Bitcoin will see a rally. So let's just wait and see what the dollar index will be doing. It cannot pump for much longer, right? This would be crazy because if we load the stochastic RSI, we can see that the stochastic RSI is ridiculously high. Like, look at this. Because as we can see, the monthly stochastic RSI is ridiculously overbought. Like, look at this. It hasn't been overbought for such a long time at such high values in a straight row since 2014, 2015. And back then it was on 100 from December 2014 until March 15. So for 4 months it was on overbought, and now it's on continuous overbought already since almost half a year. So this thing must come down at some point. It cannot just stay like this. It cannot. It must at least dip below and then go up again or something. It cannot just continue staying like this for what? How long? Like 2 years or what? No, it cannot stay like this. There must be an intermediate correction, and the longer this thing keeps going up like this without correction, the more brutal the dump will be. So if it continues pumping a bit more, the dump will be even more insane. And this means, of course, that Bitcoin will rally immediately when the dollar index starts dumping. Immediately. And XRP consequently will, with some delay, start following Bitcoin. Of course, there's the big unknown with XRP with this lawsuit. If suddenly out of nowhere the lawsuit is over, Ripple wins, then of course we get pumps like crazy, no matter what Bitcoin will be doing. Okay, not quite no matter what. If Bitcoin falls to 20,000 and in this very moment Ripple wins the lawsuit, Ripple will be still brutally dragged down. It will be still dragged down, and then afterwards, when we have seen the Bitcoin button, it will instantly rally like crazy. So with XRP, there's a lot of unknown because of the lawsuit, but we saw that technically the long-term bullish picture is still intact for XRP as long as it doesn't make a new low, as long as XRP doesn't go below this low of 11 cents from March 2020. You know, if it doesn't go to such values, as long as this is the case, the bullish long-term picture is still intact, believe it or not. Even though XRP didn't perform nicely this cycle, we should just remember that last cycle it was one of the best performing coins ever, okay? So maybe there's a rule that if a coin performs really nicely in one cycle, maybe in the next cycle it doesn't perform so well anymore. We don't know. We will have to see, because the behavior of altcoins is highly unpredictable. Highly unpredictable. You cannot say anything with altcoins, only that they might pump if Bitcoin pumps. That's all you can say. So we see XRP technically still looking bullish. If we now go to 15 or 20 cents and rebound, we could have a nice chance for a rally continuation sometime later this year or early next year. That is my picture for today, friends. It is a fascinating time in the market. Let us just continue to monitor what Bitcoin will be doing. I will make updates on Bitcoin here. I keep an eye on Bitcoin's behavior and will make updates if this line here holds or not. This will have strong implications, of course, as I said, because as I said, it could bounce, then it could go lower. We could go down now and then get an expanded flat, or we could go super low and then wobble around and have a bear market type of situation. This is the current picture, friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found this information maybe even a bit useful, I mean, I don't know, it could happen, then please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, because now I'm making daily updates again on the crypto market. And yeah, I would be super happy. I would be happy if you would join this illustrious club of crypto enthusiasts, and we would journey together into the future and witness together how Bitcoin will go to $1 million at some point by 2028 or 2030 or whatever, who knows, because just two things are certain in the crypto market, friends. Two things. First, never expect anything, always expect the unexpected. Bitcoin is always changing its behavior. And second, long term, 5 or 10 years in the future, Bitcoin price will be a lot higher than it is now. So friends, thanks for watching, and I wish you a nice day, and probably see you tomorrow in the next update video. Bye.